Hey wrestling fans, this is JP, host of Kayfabe Chronicles, coming to you. I wasn't really expected to do a video. Right now we are currently working on still the script for episode 1 of our monthly web series that we're coming to get to. I'm just figured I have to do this video just as a sign of tribute. For those of you who didn't hear, this morning, legendary wrestling manager slash wrestler and Hall of Famer Mr. Fuji passed away. For me, I said, like, growing up in the '80s, Mr. Fuji was a real integral part of like the era that I grew up with. During like the entire like Hulk Hogan, like essentially like the Hulk Hogan big man era. And there was like a lot of great managers around that time. You had like Slick, you had Bobby the Brain, you had the Genius, and of course you had Mr. Fuji. So like I can't really put into words a lot, like, what he meant to the industry. Like, being a former wrestler converting over to a manager is always really interesting for a lot of wrestlers, because like it's just a whole different transition, I guess. I personally don't know. I've never really jumped into the ring. I have taken numerous bumps and I have taken a couple classes, but I've never laced up the boots, so I can't really voice my opinion on that. So but yeah, like just during that era, the bad guys. During that era, a lot of the managers were heels. That was their job. Their job was essentially to interfere, to distract the referee, to get the cheap win. And Mr. Fuji was by far one of the best there is at that. Armed with his bag of salt and his trusty cane, like, you always knew that Fuji was going to get involved in the match, and that's what made him so interesting to look at. Is because after he would blatantly hit the guy with the cane, he would always be like, "Oh, it wasn't me, and then he would just kind of walk away. I loved the way he looked. Like, it was essentially pretty much identical to the James Bond villain Odd Job. If you haven't seen it, just like prove to me that they're not the same. Just him in his suit was always really fun to watch. I always really enjoy too, like, when the wrestlers, like, when the faces would get their hold, get a hold of Mr. Fuji, and they would pick him up. You can just see him kicking, like, his suspenders and his little tuxedo pants. It was always really cool to watch. So two moments that I'm really gonna just kind of shoot out there. Two of my favorite absolute moments from Mr. Fuji was right here, second annual Survivor Series. I do have a very vast, extensive collection of old wrestling VHSs. Please, VHSs, don't ever go bad. So, as you can see right on the back, this match right here, it's the Powers of Pain and their team taking on Demolition and their team. The way that Survivor Series match worked is, as soon as a member of the tag team was eliminated, then the entire team was eliminated. This event is actually very unique. That match is one of the only matches where you actually get to see the entire thing. A lot of the other matches, they only just show the eliminations really quick and a couple high spots, and it's kind of a waste of a VHS if you ask me. But they do show the tag team match in its entirety, and of course the main event of the Mega Powers versus the Twin Towers team. So the part of that match that made Mr. Fuji really special was essentially Demolition's heel to face turn and Powers of Pain's face to heel turn. Those of you who don't know, near the end of the match, Demolition, he got, I believe it was Smash who got thrown to the rope. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't seen the match in a little while, but he got thrown to the rope, and Mr. Fuji, I don't know if he inadvertently or purposely or all that, pulled the rope down with his cane, causing the member Demolition to fall out of the ring and ultimately get counted out. Demolition was very mad that Mr. Fuji caused them to get eliminated, so then they pretty much turned face and beat the crap out of them. And thus the Powers of Pain came in and kind of saved Mr. Fuji, and thus them becoming heels. Now that would set up one of my next favorite Mr. Fuji moments was the tag team title match at WrestleMania 5. It was a handicap match. It was Demolition defending their titles against the Powers of Pain and Mr. Fuji. In its entirety, the match isn't that great. It's really short. It's really fast. Mr. Fuji really actually doesn't do a lot in the ring. But it was leading up into the event is what made it so funny. Just Mr. Fuji doing all this like training. He ran a marathon in his suit. Who does that? It's like blistering hot out, and I'm gonna run this marathon in my tuxedo. That's balls, man. But it was really cool to see like Mr. Fuji in the ring. Like unfortunately, just my age, I wasn't able to ever see him wrestle, like because he was like a wrestler long before I came along. So that was the first time I ever got to see him in the ring. Granted, it wasn't a very long moment, and he ultimately did get his ass handed to him by Demolition, but it was still like as a kid seeing a manager climb into the ring, like that was mind blowing. Like you didn't see that. You usually just saw them get beaten up for a couple seconds and outside, and that was it. So that was pretty cool. Um, the thing which made Mr. Fuji so special was just the way that he portrayed his character. Like he was like the evil foreign Japanese guy, and just his interviews, like he would throw in like that thick Japanese accent, and just the little things that he did, like just his little evil, devious things that he did outside the ring. Um, just he had such a weird sense of humor. Like if you guys haven't seen, I'm pretty sure you guys have all heard of like just the little vignettes that he did with the Rock Don Bronco, like Fuji Hospital, Fuji Vice. If you haven't seen Fuji Vice, I strongly recommend searching it on YouTube. There's probably thousands of links out there. Fuji Vice. Definitely check it out. It's worth the watch. It's really fun to see just how much fun he had during his time in WWE. And then then he kind of like laid low, disappeared for a little while, and then he came back again during the early '90s era as the manager of Yokozuna, which makes sense. Yokozuna's from Japan and Mr. Fuji's from Japan, when in reality neither of them were actually Japanese. But it was really cool, just to see him come back in that aspect. And of course, he had a salt packet handy, and he was very responsible for a lot of Yokozuna's success. Like he still played his devious role outside the ring by interfering in matches. WrestleMania 9, prime example, when Yokozuna beat Bret Hart for the title, Mr. Fuji, of course, hit the salt in the eyes. Um, just all in all, he was the epitome of what a heel manager should be, but yet he still had the humorous side to him as well. So I was very blessed to grow up watching him inside and outside the ring. His interviews, everyone that he always managed was just great, and I was super stoked when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. A lot of times I disagree with a lot of the people that are inducted into the Hall of Fame, but that was definitely one of the ones where I was flat out good choice WWE. So that's my opinion on it. It is once again a very sad day in the wrestling world, but he lived a great life. He was around for over 80 years, so good for him. He had a fantastic life. He was able to touch so many wrestling fans and appreciated all of his work. So thank you very much, Fuji-san. Rest in peace, and I'll see you guys next time.